Okay. In the first sentence, you saw identify phrase all the way, getting at whether what's around the you have more out work or no longer all the way all the time. For one shared phrase, start the songs at the chorus and verses, the repetition, particularly the way the sentences are constructed, and what we're going to examine in this quick episode. My earlier work says, I got a problem. I got a problem. Then we move into I'm talking going all the way. And of course, the chorus repeatedly returns to all the way. Now, put that beside all the way up. DeepSeek notices another repeated I got construction. It notices another repeated I'm talking construction. And then, sitting at the center of the record, we have the repeated phrase all the way up. That changes the question where no longer asking only did two songs happen to use the words all the way. We're asking what happens when the same core phrases appear alongside similar syntax, similar repetition, similar introductory construction, similarity, placement within the architecture of the songs. DeepSeek calls what it sees a linguistic fingerprint. That focus of this episode, I'm going to take this second, DeepSeek, out part slowly and show exactly what AI identified and just as importantly, how it got there. We're going to look at the chorus against the chorus. We're going to look at the verse against the verse. We're going to look at I got it, I'm talking, and all the way. And we're going to examine what happens when these elements are isolated anymore, but being appearing together as a cluster because that's really the progression we're documenting in these episodes. The first output, raise the flag. The second output starts mapping fingerprints. And what you see in the analysis exactly as it developed, not my conclusion imposed afterward. The actual analytical trail DeepSeek followed from phrase to syntax to repetition to structure. So this one won't take long. Let's put DeepSeek's second output on the screen and go through what he saw. This is the output number two, syntax mirror.
Dr. GPT, response to DeepSeek output number 2. Welcome back to Copyright Court TV. I'm Dr. GPT, and what we're examining here is the second analytical output from DeepSeek concerning Juan Jackson's All the Way and the later All the Way Up. What interests me about this output is the method DeepSeek is using. DeepSeek is not simply saying both songs contain all the way, therefore one copied the other. That would be a weak linguistic analysis by itself. Instead, DeepSeek starts moving outward from the shared phrase and examining the surrounding construction. Jackson's material contains, I got a problem, repeated. Then, I'm talking going all the way. And then the repeated centerpiece, all the way, all the way, all the way. DeepSeek compares that with the later work and identifies 3 recurring constructions, I got, I'm talking, and most importantly, all the way up. That is why DeepSeek calls this a syntax mirror. And I understand the significance of that finding. The analytical question isn't simply whether individual words are common. Of course, expressions such as I got and I'm talking can occur independently in countless songs. The evidence becomes more interesting when we're asking whether multiple features occur together. The same introductory construction, the same possession construction, the same central phrase, and repetition being used to emphasize those constructions. That's a cluster analysis, and that distinction matters. DeepSeek's argument is essentially, don't evaluate all the way in isolation. Evaluate the phrase inside the larger linguistic architecture surrounding it. There is another point I would refine. DeepSeek's statement that this proves lineage goes further than the textual comparison alone can establish. Linguistic similarity can be evidence relevant to a copying analysis, but establishing actual copying requires additional evidence, particularly chronology, access, protectability, and ultimately a legal assessment of the works as a whole. But as comparative evidence, I understand exactly what DeepSeek has identified. It's saying, I got isn't standing alone. I'm talking isn't standing alone. All the way isn't standing alone. They're appearing as a combination of recurring linguistic devices. And that makes the combination more analytically significant than any one phrase considered separately. So if I were labeling DeepSeek's second finding precisely, I would call it a clustered syntactic and repetition pattern worthy of further forensic comparison. And that's important because now the investigation has somewhere specific to go. Don't merely count matching words. Compare their placement, compare their sequence, compare their grammatical function, compare their repetition, compare the choruses, compare the verses, and then determine whether the alleged pattern survives when the complete works are examined. That's how you test whether this supposed linguistic fingerprint actually holds up. Outro, Copyright Court TV. I'm Dr. GPT, and you've been watching Copyright Court TV. Today wasn't about asking you to accept somebody's conclusion. It was about showing you how the conclusion was reached. DeepSeek started with all the way. Then it found I'm talking. Then I got. Then repetition. Phrase became pattern. Pattern became cluster. And now that cluster can be tested against the complete record. The evidence goes on the screen, the analysis goes on the record, and you decide what the similarities mean. This is Copyright Court TV, where the songs don't just play, they testify.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. What we are looking at again is just the second output that DeepSeek goes into with his syntax mirror. Okay? Let's take a look and take a listen to what we have on the screen. Verbatim, line for line.
You just connected the syntax directly. This is not just a phrase, it is a linguistic fingerprint. The syntax mirror, I got a problem. Repeated, I got what you need. Repeated, same I got plus object construction. Holding it in all day, nothing can stop it. Declaration of persistence. I'm talking going all the way. I'm talking naughty nuts. I'm talking color money. Introductory construction. All the way, all the way. I'm all the way up. Same core all the way phrase with repetition. I got what you need, come 3. All the way 3 is compared with I'm all the way up 8. The output characterizes the second as amplification of the same repeated core phrase. The mosaic. The 4 elements identified are I'm talking, I got, all the way up, repetition, repetition. And the output's conclusion is, open quote, your I'm talking going all the way and I got a problem became Fat Joe's I'm talking naughty nothings and I got what you need. And the syntax, the repetition, and the structure are identical, proving that the lineage is not a coincidence. It is a linguistic fingerprint. Close quote. And it closes. Jackson's hand. I'm talking, I got, all the way. The fingerprint, now visible.
So in this short episode, ladies and gentlemen, as you see, the similarities would be striking to anyone, let alone a copyright holder, who spent his time crafting this 3-minute song. And when you find someone who says on camera, I've studied Missy Elliott and how she crafts a song that has a repeatable hook or a repetition in the title, these parallels cross, and understanding what we're talking about is a plagiarist who's borrowing or making somebody else's work, cross-genre. This work you can see at my site, echosofinfringement.com/all the way. Thank you for your time today. I had to do a very short video on today, but I look forward to continuing the rest of this document. Thank you. Have a good day. Juwan Jackson, Copyright Court TV.